What would a trip look like if you spent 72 hours in Vancouver? Well, that is exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We're going to talk about some restaurants, cafes, and all of the best activities that you can visit when you're in the city. This one's jam-packed. We've got interviews planned. We've got fun, beautiful locations to visit. And of course, we've got a ton of coffee to drink. So if I have anything to say with today's video, it's get your notepad out because you're not going to want to miss some of the activities that we get up to in this one.
All right, so to kick things off, we've just got off the plane and no trip to Vancouver is complete without starting it at Cove Harbour, which is where we're at right now. This area got its name from the coal deposits found in the region back in the 1800s, but it was actually never developed for mining. Instead, this area went from becoming an industrial shipping hub to being one of the most picturesque tourist locations in the city. But for us, because it's our first day here and we're absolutely exhausted, we're gonna be heading on down to Gastown to walk along the Seawall, and we're gonna take you along for the journey. So with that, let's keep going.
And to no surprise, it was absolutely pouring rain when we got to Vancouver, but the entire trip was absolutely stunning. So a little bit of a wet start, but once we arrived in Gastown, it was great.
All right, now this area is a must to visit, not only because it is absolutely stunning, you can walk around, grab some photos, hang out, and just enjoy it. Now, there are of course so many different reasons you should come to Gastown. I of course love to come here just to shoot some photos. The historic buildings alone just make the trip worth it.
But of course, the biggest attraction here is the Gastown steam clock, which is so aesthetic. And
every 15 minutes, you'll hear it play Westminster's Quarters, which is probably one of the most popular reasons for why people actually come here. But we're actually here because there is a cafe that I have been dying to go to, and I cannot wait to check out. Bringing us to our coffee stop of the day. I've been up since 3 a.m. and I've absolutely needed this. The coffee stop of the day and the place that I'm recommending for you if you check out Vancouver is Nemesis Coffee. There are multiple locations around the city and one near Gastown, which is why we went. But we ended up driving all the way to the Great North Way location because of its beautiful interior design. I ended up getting a regular filter brew, my measure for if a coffee spot is actually good or not, and this coffee is so good. So with that, we're gonna head on over to the Airbnb, check out what we got, and show you guys around. Let's talk about pricing because it's worth discussing sort of the two scenarios of Airbnbs that you're going to find available to you in Vancouver. This Airbnb costs $187 a night. There's a $130 cleaning fee. There's a $123 Airbnb service fee. And then with taxes, that's an extra $142 for a total of $1,144 for this entire stay. But the average Airbnb price in Vancouver is going to shock you. Majority of Airbnbs in Vancouver are going to be anywhere between $140 and $240 a night. And you're basically going to get what you see here for that price point. The extremely nice Airbnbs that are like just on another level for the most part are probably hovering anywhere between $470 and $600 a night, basically doubling your price to stay in somewhere luxurious. So it's worth noting that there are tons of options out there that look like this. And if you want to pay a premium, there is availability for it. But in my opinion, for the average person just coming to the city, this is what you're gonna be looking for. So with that being said, we're gonna hang for the night, have some dinner, reset because we're exhausted, and see you all in the morning for when we start our first real activity to check out what Vancouver has to offer.
Now, whenever I'm out traveling to a new city, I absolutely love to capture as many sunrises as I possibly can. And lucky for us, this Airbnb did come equipped with a beautiful rooftop that I was able to take advantage of for some sunrise morning photography. This was right by the mall that's right directly in downtown Vancouver. Once that was over, of course, we just jumped into the car and saw some cherry blossoms because this time of year, the cherry blossoms are blooming. If you're visiting in the spring, it is phenomenal, and headed all the way to North Vancouver.
And of course, no morning where you wake up for sunrise can be done without getting some coffee, which is why we went to 49th Parallel, which is right behind me, an absolute institution when you come to visit Vancouver. One of Canada's probably best coffee companies for their commitment to sustainability. Their food's phenomenal, the coffee is incredible, and if you're in Vancouver, you definitely have to check it out. The one we're at is on the north shore of Vancouver, and the reason why we're here is because we're off to probably one of the most visited tourist spots in the city, Capilano Suspension Bridge. We're in the Capilano Suspension Bridge area now, and we're talking to Jackson. He's going to tell us a little bit about the park, give us some background information, and hopefully help you guys out with making your tours here that much better.
This whole area, I was born around this area. I've lived here most of my life. For thousands of years, it's been here by the First Nations people. So in this area specifically, it was the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations people. So on the other side, we've got some totem poles carved by them. The park here started in 1889 by a Scottish settler, basically. When he built the bridge, basically because he wanted an easier way to get across to this side of the area here.
Like chicken.
Exactly. Yeah, he bought about 6,000 acres worth of land for about $1 per acre.
Must be nice.
Yeah, exactly. And originally it was anchored to a tree just like this one here. And on the other side, it was anchored to a buried log in the ground. The bridge was made out of rope. But now it's like a steel bridge, and it's gone through multiple iterations of the bridge. And now the bridge can hold the weight of a 747 jet on it.
Give me maybe 3 things that you think people absolutely must see when they come here specifically.
Well, yeah, there's the bridge, obviously, which is like the main attraction of the park. And then on the other side, there's Cliff Walk, which is it's basically a catwalk that overhangs the cliff, gives you amazing views of the river and of the cliffside trees.
We're going there next.
Excellent, excellent. And then we've got Treetops Adventure over here, which is it's a bunch of bridges between the trees, very similar to the Ewok Village in Star Wars. And then another thing is there's a place called Nature's Edge down below.
Okay.
It's like a wooden boardwalk. That's the best spot to view nature, I'd say, in the park here.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
This is fun.
No.
One thing that has surprised me about these things is just how shaky the bridges actually are. It doesn't look like that when you're like looking at them, but the second you get on them, you're just like on the bridge. It's very cool though, definitely recommend this. Now what's really cool about this bridge area is that it was actually started around like 1888. A Scottish man came here and bought the land to be used, I believe, as timber mills, and actually realized the potential as a tourism location. And it was one of the first tourist attractions in the Vancouver area, and right now is probably the most infamous, which is why it's so popular. So as a piece of advice, get here early or get here late, because there are tons of crowds, especially in the summer. And officially, it's actually considered the first tourist trap in the entire world, this area, because it was so popular so early on. And I guess like a whole bunch of other places have taken inspiration from it now, marketed as the 8th wonder of the world, in fact. You know, I came here because I was supposed to come fishing, but it seems they've proved me wrong. I'm not allowed.
But if I could sum up the total experience of the suspension bridge, it is to 100% visit. That said, no trip to British Columbia would be complete without a hike, even if you're just visiting Vancouver. And lucky for us, this hike came as a recommendation from Jackson. He told us to go visit Deep Cove, which is a little city neighboring the Capilano area. And there is a hike there named after the town that was so picturesque. If you couldn't tell from these images, it probably takes about an hour and a half to do there and back. And it takes you to this beautiful lookout point on top of a rock. We were there in the middle of the week, so it was a little bit emptier, but from what I've heard, on the weekends, it gets extremely busy, but the view is absolutely unforgettable.
Okay, so to end off the day, we've arrived in Stanley Park, and some of the clips that you've seen at the beginning right now are from a place called Prospects Point. This is one of the most beautiful locations for photos in Vancouver, in my opinion. I just absolutely love taking photos of this Lionsgate Bridge, but there's so much to see in Stanley Park. It is such an interesting place, filled with world records that are in fact unique to Canada. It's actually larger than Times Square. And so that's what we are gonna cover in this part of the video. It's some of the more interesting things that you could see and do in Stanley Park. We're probably not gonna get to all of it because the sun is going down. And I wanna get to a cool cityscape photo spot before that happens. So let's go see what we can get. All right, and one of those locations that is extremely unique to Stanley Park is the hollow tree. This thing's cool because it is literally a hollowed out tree. Here, come here. You gotta see this, you gotta see this. It is completely hollowed out all the way to the top. And for decades, people in Vancouver have basically been trying to play games with what they can fit inside of it. Anything from cars to the amounts of people that can fit inside of this thing. It's pretty crazy. Another area of Stanley Park that's worth visiting is the famous totem poles that I believe some of them were gifted in the mid-50s. So these things have tons of history. The wild part is that they're actually made out of cedar. So there's been some preservation concerns because cedar obviously naturally decays. So there's been some work to make sure that they can be restored and maintained over time, given just how important their cultural significance actually is. And now another key part of Stanley Park that makes it so cool is its seawall. This is one of the longest continuous uninterrupted seawalls in the entire world that wraps around pretty much all of Stanley Park. So it's protecting the shoreline and it leads to an incredible view. As you can see, you have Vancouver basically all behind me and it's absolutely stunning. But probably one of the highlights of Stanley Park are the cherry blossoms, which are an absolute can't miss when you're here in the spring, and definitely make visiting Vancouver and this area so special and worthwhile. And that'll take us to tomorrow morning. All right, and today we are starting things off at the Cypress Lookout. This is a pretty cool spot if you're wanting to spend the day up to Whistler and you want to get a nice shot of Vancouver with the morning sunlight. And the reason why we're here is because we're actually going up the Sea to Sky Highway today. Check out some of the better viewpoints, locations, waterfalls, all the fun things along the way. So we're gonna wrap up here, probably grab some food, and then get on the way. So we made it to the Sea to Sky Gondola. We're gonna head up to the mountain, hop on the gondola, see what we can get up to. The whole experience is like $150 for two people. It's cheaper if you buy online. That's what I would recommend, but the views are definitely worth it. All right, so there's a few reasons why you'd want to do this. The first one is if you're skiing, you can actually ski down this mountain, which is really cool because you get a beautiful view of the Sea to Sky sort of area. And then there's also hiking trails up on the top. You can walk around, do a whole bunch of different adventures. And then the main tourist attraction is actually this like suspension bridge up there too. I guess BC just loves their suspension bridges, and that's what we're gonna check out first before we get on over to some viewpoints. But for right now, we're gonna enjoy the view. Oh my God, there's a paraglider. Look at this. Look at this. All right, so we made it to the top. And as you can see, the view here is incredible. Definitely worth the time to give this a shot. All right, so the main attraction for this area is this suspension bridge. And if you didn't notice, there's a huge theme of suspension bridges in British Columbia here, the Vancouver area. This one gives a beautiful lookout and a walk. It's a little shaky, it's not that bad, but a beautiful walk of the area. Tons of people come on this thing, and you're surrounded by mountains. It's absolutely phenomenal. The best part about this bridge though is that if you want beautiful photos of the area, you just come up here, grab some shots all the way down to the water and the coast, and you get a whole view of the drive that you just had on the way up here.
All right, so the next stop on this trip was actually Whistler, not to snowboard and ski, although I would have absolutely have loved to have brought my snowboard on this trip. Instead, we're actually visiting the Squamish Center up in the village. And the reason why is because this area is so rich in history. I ended up taking part in a guided tour of the facility, learning about all of the Squamish and Lil'wat history of the area. And out of respect for the tour guide and the stories that were shared, I left it off camera, but I would highly recommend that if you are coming to Whistler, that you absolutely do this experience.
All right, so we wrapped up at the Culture Center, and I'm so happy that I was able to do something like that. I'm always trying to find a way to learn more about the area that I'm traveling to. So definitely, if you're coming to Vancouver and making a trip to Whistler along Sea to Sky, take some time, go to these visitor centers and learn about the area in a way that interests you. So with that, we're heading down Sea to Sky and we're gonna go back to Vancouver. Along the way, there are tons of different viewpoints that are so scenic. Tons of waterfalls, tons of viewpoints, cool areas. So we're gonna try and get to a few of them because we're running out of time. But the first one on the list is, of course, a waterfall. This is a very nice hike, I have to say. Very easy, but very nice. Oh, would you look at that? They even have a viewing platform for us. That's what I like to see. Now, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know that we did a video in Hamilton called the Waterfall Capital of the World. But this waterfall, Brandywine Falls, is 230 feet tall. Might be challenging Hamilton, BC. If you ever get the chance to drive on the Sea to Sky Highway, it is the most twisting, winding highway I think I have ever driven on in my entire life. That's not true. Switzerland still takes it, but this is definitely up there. Like, this is madness. All right. The next viewpoint on our way back to Vancouver is Tantalus Lookout. This reminds me a lot about Banff, if I'm being honest. This is like really cool. Like, check out this peak. This is something else. These mountains are next level. There are so many hidden gems along this road. It is bizarre how cool it is. It is a little busy, but I think it just comes now with driving on the way to Whistler. Is just, there's a lot of cars, so it's something you're gonna have to deal with, but the views are incredible. All right, so we've made it to the last stop of the day, which is Shannon Falls. After this, we're gonna eat dinner. This is like a major attraction to come to, and you can see why. It is absolutely stunning here. The creek is extremely beautiful, and the waterfall is ginormous, and in my opinion, very unique. All right, and basically after a quick walk to the parking lot, you end up with the waterfall right behind you on a really well put together viewing platform. So that's basically it for the Sea to Sky day of our 72 hours. We're gonna go have some dinner and then wake up tomorrow morning for a bit of a surprise. We're gonna go on a bit of a road trip. All right, and for our last stop then on the trip, on our final day here, we're in Chilliwack, BC at the Greendale Acres Farm, just outside of Chilliwack, and it is phenomenal. There are over 100,000 flowers planted here, but we're here for the specific reason because it is their annual plowing match, and I'm so excited to see this. Visiting a small town just outside of Vancouver is definitely something that you have to add to your list. It's just an hour outside of the city, and it is going to be 100% worth your time to see more of what British Columbia has to offer when you're visiting the city. So let's go check it out. All right, now the plowing matches are actually really cool because at kind of any part of Canada, you're gonna find plowing matches, but here they're running two types of competitions. One of them is done with tractors and it's less manual, but the other one is the more interesting one where they literally do it by horse, and you have to basically plow the straightest line possible, and that's how you win the competition.
Today's video is at Greendale Acres, where competitors are facing off to see who can plow the straightest line with tractors or horses. This was the most
Absolutely insane
thing I could have ever imagined in Canada. Between the horses, the mountains, the farms, real blacksmithing, and an incredible community atmosphere, the entire experience is worth checking out.
Can you say that you've ever swung on a swing in Chilliwack, BC at a plowing match? Ooh. With a farm that has over 100,000 flowers. Now, allegedly, all of these flowers are planted completely by hand. And sometimes you have to stop and smell the daffodils.
And the best part is that this farm is open all year round to pick flowers, pumpkin patches, corn mazes, visit the petting zoo, and so much more. Going to show that the best of Canada can be found in some of the most unexpected places.
All right, this is easily one of the most unique experiences I've ever been a part of. So definitely take some time when you do visit Vancouver to research other small towns or festivals happening around the area because it is 100% worth it. This is insane. The mountains, the valley, the flowers, the community aspect of it. It's so unique. So with that, I'm gonna say thank you for watching. If you wanna see more of this style of video on the channel, comment down below. Let me know some destinations that you want me to cover. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.